There's a quiet conversation many men have with themselves as the years pass. A conversation filled with subtle shifts, unspoken worries, and a fading sense of vitality. Maybe you've noticed it too. The mornings don't bring the same surge of energy. The mirror reflects a face that seems a little more tired. And intimacy, the kind that used to feel effortless, now feels like a distant memory or an awkward obligation. Somewhere along the way, you may have stopped asking questions about what's really happening beneath the surface, especially when it comes to something as personal as ejaculation. Maybe you've thought it's just one of those things that naturally slows down, that it doesn't matter much anymore, or that avoiding it somehow protects your body. But what if that slowing down isn't as harmless as it seems? What if in the silence of long stretches without ejaculation, your body is quietly waving a red flag, hoping you'll listen before the signals grow louder? I've sat with many men like you, men who never voiced the small frustrations, the lingering discomforts, or the subtle changes that crept in almost unnoticed. Take Tom, for example. He's 68, a retired carpenter with broad hands and a gentle smile that rarely touched his eyes these days. After prostate surgery and some years wrestling with health challenges, intimacy slowly retreated from his life. It wasn't a dramatic goodbye, but a gradual fading, until ejaculation became something that happened rarely, then not at all. Tom didn't complain. He was a man of quiet resilience, but beneath that silence, there was a shift. He began to notice a strange tension deep in his pelvis, a sense of restlessness that no one seemed to talk about. His mood darkened, not in big waves, but in slow, steady ripples. He felt drained, not just physically, but emotionally. There was a weight pressing down on parts of him he wasn't sure he could name. He told me once, "It's like I'm here, but not really living." Tom's story isn't unique. It's the story of many men who, through years of sacrifice and silence, lose touch with a vital part of themselves. Tom's story is a window into a larger truth many men carry quietly, the slow, creeping sense that something inside is growing restless, yet remains unnamed. There was another man I worked with, John, who was in his early 70s, a retired school teacher with a gentle demeanor and a sharp mind dulled only slightly by the weight of years. John came to me after months of feeling off, not ill in the traditional sense, but burdened by a persistent fog that clouded his mornings and dragged at his spirit throughout the day. His wife noticed he seemed withdrawn, less interested in the conversations they once shared, and more fatigued after even light activity. What John described was more than just a loss of sexual activity. It was a loss of rhythm. Where once his body and mind moved in harmony with desire and release, there was now a dissonance that left him feeling stuck. The nights were restless. The pelvic discomfort he dismissed as just aging grew more insistent. He found himself tensing his muscles unconsciously, a tightness he couldn't shake. He began to question his identity, not just as a man, but as someone who felt fully alive. John's experience sheds light on how deeply interconnected the physical and emotional realms are. The pelvic region, often overlooked, is a crossroads of nerves, blood vessels, and muscle groups that communicate constantly with the brain. When ejaculation becomes infrequent or absent, it's not simply a missing physical event. It's a disruption in a complex feedback loop that regulates mood, energy, and even cognitive clarity. This disruption can manifest as irritability, anxiety, or a persistent low mood that many men mistake as just part of getting older. In John's case, we began by addressing his pelvic tension through gentle physical therapy and breathing exercises designed to release the held tension in his core. At the same time, we explored his emotional landscape, the fears and losses tied to diminished sexual function, the quiet loneliness that followed. Slowly, John started to reclaim small pieces of himself. Mornings became less foggy, moods stabilized, and over time, he found a renewed curiosity and intimacy, not rushed or pressured, but mindful and compassionate. Biologically, this experience is grounded in the way the autonomic nervous system interacts with the pelvic organs. Ejaculation triggers a parasympathetic rest and digest response that calms the nervous system after sympathetic activation during arousal. Without regular release, this balance can tilt, leading to a state of low-grade tension and heightened stress response. This imbalance doesn't just affect mood, it can also contribute to physical symptoms like pelvic pain, urinary discomfort, and even impact cardiovascular health by maintaining a persistent, low-level stress state. This explains why men like Tom and John can feel off in ways that are difficult to articulate. Their bodies are sending signals that require more than just medical tests. They need attentive listening and holistic care that bridges the mind-body gap. Understanding this intricate dance helps to move beyond frustration or resignation and toward a place of empathy and practical healing. Recognizing these signals early can make a significant difference. It opens the door to interventions that support pelvic health, restore hormonal balance, and reestablish emotional well-being. More than that, it restores dignity and hope. Men are not alone in these experiences, and these changes are not marks of failure, but invitations to deeper self-care. John's story is a reminder that even in the quiet struggle, there is resilience. His journey wasn't about rushing back to past performance, but about rediscovering a new way to be present in his body and relationships. It's a journey that many men walk, and one I'm honored to guide, helping to translate the language of the body into steps toward renewed vitality and peace. What happens in the body when ejaculation becomes rare or absent? To understand this, we need to look beyond the surface, beyond the embarrassment or the assumptions. Ejaculation is often viewed narrowly as a reproductive act, a marker of virility, or sometimes just an afterthought in the aging process. But in truth, it's a complex physiological dance involving more than just the release of semen. When a man ejaculates, several things occur at once. Seminal fluid is expelled, relieving the prostate and seminal vesicles of built-up secretions. This release isn't just physical, it triggers a cascade of neurochemical shifts. Dopamine floods the brain, rewarding pleasure and reinforcing motivation, while oxytocin fosters feelings of connection and intimacy, deepening bonds between partners. The nervous system finds a rhythm in the tension and release cycle that keeps the pelvic region well supplied with healthy blood flow and neural communication. Imagine the prostate as a garden valve, carefully controlling the flow of fluids. When it functions regularly, the valve opens and closes smoothly, irrigating the garden and keeping everything balanced. But when ejaculation is absent for long periods, the valve can become clogged or pressured, leading to discomfort or inflammation. Conditions like prostatitis, which often go undiagnosed because men hesitate to speak openly about these sensations. Alongside this physical effect, the body's hormonal conversation shifts subtly. Testosterone, often misunderstood as a simple male hormone, is part of a larger dialogue of vitality and well-being. The absence of ejaculation can dull this conversation, leaving men feeling disconnected from their own energy, not necessarily because hormone levels plummet, but because the lived experience of vitality ebbs. It's not only the body that bears the weight of abstinence. The mind and heart carry their own burdens. There's a quiet toll on mood and self-confidence that too often goes unspoken. Men are raised to be stoic, to endure, and to solve problems silently, especially those connected to masculinity and sexuality. When sexual function diminishes, it can feel like an invisible loss, not just of desire or performance, but of identity itself. The space once filled with ease and pleasure becomes a place of frustration, isolation, and sometimes shame. This emotional distance doesn't only affect the man himself, but ripples into relationships, creating walls where once there were bridges. It's a grief that's rarely acknowledged, a chapter many men quietly close without the comfort of understanding or hope. But this story, as difficult as it may feel, is not one of defeat. It's a story of reconnection, of listening to the whispers beneath the silence, and of reclaiming a part of yourself that still waits patiently for your attention. The truth is, the body remembers. It remembers what you try to ignore. And when you begin to honor that memory, even in small ways, you open the door to healing and renewal. This isn't about chasing youth or fixing what feels broken. It's about tuning into the rhythm your body still wants to dance to, at its own pace, on its own terms. Along the way, there are myths that cloud understanding, stories passed down or picked up along the way that might not hold up to what science and lived experience show us. You might have heard that abstaining from ejaculation protects the prostate, that it saves energy or prevents risk. Some say that if you don't miss it, then it must not matter. These ideas, while comforting in their simplicity, don't tell the whole story. Research suggests that regular ejaculation, somewhere around 2 to 4 times a month, can actually help reduce the risk of prostate issues, support hormonal balance, and maintain healthy circulation in the pelvic region. It's not about counting numbers or hitting a quota. It's about staying in tune with the natural rhythm your body was designed to follow. Think of it like walking a path through a familiar forest. Sometimes the path gets overgrown, and you need to clear a little brush to keep moving forward comfortably. Regular ejaculation is one way your body clears that brush, keeping everything flowing, everything alive. And if you've strayed from that path, there's no judgment, just an invitation to find your way back gently, with kindness and care. This journey back isn't about pressure or performance. It's about vitality, connection, and wholeness. Whether you have a partner or not, the ways to reconnect with your body are varied and accessible. Solo intimacy, free from shame or guilt, can be a powerful act of self-care and healing. Gentle pelvic floor exercises like Kegels can build strength and relieve tension, opening new channels for blood flow and sensation. Some men find guided prostate massage helpful, though that's something to explore cautiously and with medical advice. And beyond the physical, rekindling emotional intimacy through touch, conversation, and presence can restore bonds that transcend the bedroom. In the quiet moments when you breathe deep and listen, you may find your body whispering stories you haven't heard in years. Stories of resilience, desire, and the steady pulse of life beneath the surface. And as you begin to honor those whispers, the possibility of rediscovery emerges. Not just of sexuality, but of a fuller, richer experience of being alive. If you felt a flicker of recognition while listening, you're not alone. Many men walk this path, uncertain but hopeful. And it's okay to begin again. Not with grand gestures or quick fixes, but with one honest conversation. With yourself, with your partner, or with a trusted doctor who understands the quiet struggles behind the bravado. In that conversation, you'll find the first step back to yourself, and that step, however small, can open the door to a season of renewal you might not have imagined possible. The journey is waiting, and it begins here, now. There is a tenderness in acknowledging that this part of your life, the ebb and flow of intimacy, the rhythms of your body, does not have to fade quietly into the background. It is tempting, especially when years have piled up and changes have settled in, to resign ourselves to the idea that certain things are simply over. But that resignation is not the final chapter. It is, rather, an invitation to step into a new season, one where you honor your body's signals with compassion and curiosity. This new season doesn't ask you to reclaim what was lost exactly as it was. It asks you to listen with fresh ears, to meet your body where it is now, and to recognize the subtle ways it still wants to express vitality. There's a difference between pushing against the current and learning to swim with the tides that remain. Maybe it means redefining intimacy, not as something that must always look or feel a certain way, but as a connection that nourishes your spirit and your health in ways you haven't fully recognized. One practical step is to gently reconnect with your own body without judgment or expectation. If you're hesitant about solo sexual activity, know that it is a natural and healthy way to maintain circulation, relieve tension, and nurture your nervous system's balance. It's not about performance or proving anything, it's a quiet, personal ritual of care. Approaching this with kindness, both to your body and your mind, can help dismantle the shame that often surrounds male sexuality in later life. Alongside this, pelvic floor exercises, simple Kegel contractions, can work wonders. These exercises don't just strengthen muscles, they restore communication between your brain and your pelvis, improving blood flow, reducing discomfort, and even helping with erectile function. Many men find that incorporating these gentle movements into daily life brings a new sense of control and presence. It's as if you're tuning an instrument that's been silent too long, waiting for the right touch. For some, guided prostate massage under medical supervision can relieve congestion and discomfort, acting as a release valve for built-up pressure. This is not something to rush into, but something to explore with care and professional guidance, respecting the unique needs and limits of your body. But physical reconnection is only part of the journey. Emotional intimacy, often overlooked, holds equal power. It's the touch of a hand, a quiet conversation, or the simple presence of someone who sees you fully and without judgment. Rekindling this connection can heal wounds of isolation and remind you that desire is as much about the heart as it is about the body. If you have a partner, exploring new ways of being close, without pressure or expectation, can create space for healing and renewed closeness. If you're single, cultivating intimacy with yourself and trusted friends nurtures the sense of belonging that feeds vitality. This journey back to vitality is not linear or uniform. It will have days of breakthrough and days of quiet reflection. That's natural. The most important thing is to remain patient and compassionate with yourself. You are not broken, and you are not past your prime. The seasons of life shift, but your essence remains. There is a well of resilience inside you, waiting to be tapped. In my years working with men like you, I have seen remarkable transformations, not because of magic pills or quick fixes, but because men found the courage to listen to themselves again, to be honest about their needs, and to take small, steady steps toward reclaiming their vitality. These steps often begin quietly. One conversation with a doctor, one moment of self-compassion, one exercise practiced in secret. But they build momentum. They restore hope. Remember, vitality is more than physical strength or sexual performance. It's a deep current of aliveness that runs through your body and spirit. It's the spark that fuels your days and warms your nights. It's the ability to engage fully with life, to feel connected, to be present. And it's never too late to nurture that spark. So if this message has found a place in your heart, I invite you to begin gently. Maybe start by simply acknowledging how you feel, without judgment or hurry. Perhaps explore one new habit, a few pelvic floor exercises, a moment of quiet self-reflection, or a heartfelt conversation with someone you trust. These small acts are not insignificant. They are the threads that weave a new tapestry of well-being. And if you're ready, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare provider who respects your story, your struggles, and your hopes. A good doctor will listen without rushing, offer guidance rooted in compassion and science, and walk with you as you navigate this path. Remember, you are not alone. Many men have traveled this road before you, and many more will follow after. I'm Dr. Michael Hanks, and I want you to know this. Your journey toward renewed vitality is not about reclaiming lost youth, but about embracing the fullness of who you are right now. It's about honoring your body's wisdom and your spirit's resilience. It's about finding peace in the rhythm of your own life and rediscovering joy in connection, whether with yourself, a partner, or the world around you. So take that first step, no matter how small. Listen to your body's whispers. Open your heart to possibility. And know that this part of your story is still unfolding, with hope, dignity, and quiet strength. Thank you for allowing me to share this moment with you. May your path forward be gentle, empowered, and full of life.